So today we're making banana bread, but the kind that uses yeast. And this is all you need: flour, salt, some milk, bananas, yeast, and I'm using this Hawaji. It's a Middle Eastern spice blend. You don't have to use it at all. It actually wasn't included in the recipe, but that's sort of my twist on it. You could use Chinese 5-spice or just cinnamon. And so this was a recipe that I saw on YouTube, and we'll follow it and see how it turns out. Okay, so here we go. We've got our mise en place. We've got our 2 ripe bananas peeled. This is 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. This is 2 tablespoons of butter melted. This is 6 tablespoons of milk. This is 2¼ cups of flour and 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of some spice blend. So here we go. Let's start. We gotta mash up the bananas. So I put them into this mixer fitted with the dough hook. And we're going to mash these up. So this is the sugar that would normally be in a recipe. It's turning out to not be the best way to mash the bananas. Okay. So now I'm just going to add the yeast. And the milk. And the melted butter. And you can see that it is sticking a little to the side. So let's turn that off and we'll just get the bananas there. And so once this is all mixed, you want to let it sit for 10 minutes to let the yeast activate. Okay, so 10 minutes have gone by, and you can see there's starting to be some bubbles in the mashed banana yeast mixture. And so I'm going to add the flour. And we're just going to let that mix. Turn a little higher. Scrape down the edges. And this dough will be a little sticky, is what the directions originally said. So we'll see how sticky this is. It's turning into a really nice dough. It's really coming together nicely. And you know, if you double these ingredients, you can use like a whole package of yeast. But I'm just following the original recipe that seems to be like half a recipe. Oh yeah, it's falling up. And so we're gonna want to let this run for about 10 minutes. So I don't know if you know how to tell when dough is ready, but so when you pull it like this, see how it's pulling apart like that? It means it's not ready. It means that the gluten is not activated yet. So we're gonna just keep kneading it for a few more minutes. Okay, so now it's sticky, but you see how it's sort of holding together? It's not falling apart. There it is falling a little bit apart, but you see how it's so much more elastic? That means the gluten strands are activated. And this is ready to now rest. So I'm going to cover it with a little spray, with a little cooking spray, and cover it with plastic, and we're going to let it rise for an hour. Okay, so now I beat down the dough. I let it rise a little longer than an hour. It was close to 2 hours. And so we're just gonna take this out. And I'm going to knead it on this granite surface here. It feels good. And I'm going to knead this for about 5 minutes. Oh, it's really coming together nicely. It doesn't feel sticky anymore. It feels like a good dough, and let's see how. Well, no, it's not. You can see, well, we'll see. It's not pulling nicely like I would want it to. So it needs a lot more kneading. So here's the dough. It's all nicely kneaded, and I'm thinking that the texture may be different because it is because of the bananas. So I don't know what we'll see what happens. And so now we need to form it into 15 balls. And what I like to do is, this is what a kitchen scale is great, because you see it's 29 ounces, which is almost 30. So we just want everything to be about just under 2 ounces for each ball. Okay, so there we got a ball that's about 1.6 ounces. Let's just see how these 1.5, 1.7. Well, so we want to do this with 15 of them so that they're all going to be the same size, and then we'll roll them in balls. Okay, so here I have all my 15 doughs, and here I have this little pan. I guess it's like a little 6 by 13, and I'm going to roll them all up into nice. You're using the palm of your hands to get them into that nice ball shape. They come out perfect. Put them in there, and I'm going to do this 15 times. All right. So here's our 15 rolls, our bowls, in a pan, and they need to rise again. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna let them rise overnight. You know, what I learned in cooking school is that slow rising creates more flavor. All your best pizza parlors, they make their dough the day before, and it rises overnight. So we're going to put this in the freezer, in the refrigerator, and tomorrow morning we'll bake it. And it's the next day, and look, I've taken these out of the refrigerator, and they've risen nicely. And I've let them sit on the counter for a half hour to get to room temperature, whilst my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now I've got some milk here, and I'm just going to brush the tops of these with milk. This just helps it look nice brown. Oops. And now we need to put them in the oven, and we'll do that right here. There they go. In for 13 minutes. Okay, so now actually they've been in the oven almost twice as long. The recipe said 13 minutes, but they've been in over 20 minutes to get a nicer golden brown. See, the little bits getting a little darker. Okay. And so the next step here is melted butter. Yes. Melted butter gets slathered over the top. As they cool, it just gets better. Yes, that was about a tablespoon that I melted, and then we'll use it all. So let's just give this a second to cool, and we'll have a taste. And so these have cooled on the rack. Now it's time for a tasting. Ooh, let's see, let's test the crumb. Well, it certainly looks like bread. Break it apart. That looks good. So let's have a bite. Oh, these are really good. So I made this exactly as a recipe that I saw online. I added a teaspoon of this spice, which is really nice, and I had to bake it almost twice as long. The recipe said 13 minutes, but it really took almost 30, so like 25 minutes. And you could put it in even longer to get it brown. It is delicious. Try it.